What's up guys, my name is Devin and welcome back to another episode of Footballrs. In today's video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the brand new Battle Astrofly Football Cleats. Let's do it. All right guys, so here are the cleats right here. We've got 5 pairs. Again, these are the brand new Battle Astrofly Football Cleats. Super pumped about these. Battle has finally put out a very good football cleat. I'm super excited to get into these. First things first, let's take a look at the box. You'll notice we have 2 different style boxes right here. So we have the 3 white boxes and then the 2 black boxes. So the black boxes are going to be the limited edition pairs, so they get a better box. Well, just different color with some iridium effect, but regardless, let's take a peek at the white boxes. On the very top of the box, it says Battle. And then here on the front, it says the future of football. You get another Battle here, and then a little Battle Labs detail. So this is where they test their stuff to make sure it's as good as it can be for you guys. Here is all of the information on the cleat. These are an 8.5, Battle Astrofly white, black, made in Vietnam. And then that's pretty much it. We have a cool like grid on the bottom, I guess. But let's open all the different colorways. I'll show you guys, and then we'll get into one pair for the unboxing, first impression, and then the testing. So first pair we have here, I believe, is the white pair. And I would be correct. Ooh, check these out, man. These are a good looking football cleat. I know we just opened it, but these are very cool looking football cleats. This white pair is super clean. I think I'm gonna go with the white for the unboxing, first impression, and testing process. I just think they're super duper clean, and you can see all the details pretty good on them. So I think we're gonna roll with these. Also, check it out. We do have an extra set of laces, kind of like a pinkish red color, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure all the pairs come with these extra laces. We're gonna see in a minute, but very cool little detail. Next up, we have another white box. This is, ooh, these are crazy. So this is their neon green, and the green on these, I don't even know if the camera's doing it justice right now. It is so bright in person. It's so vibrant. Check it out, man. These things are insane, and these do come with those reddish pink laces, so you guys can already see the vision. If you guys want to grinch these up, no problem. Battle makes that super easy for you guys, but this green pair is very cool. Then this is the final white box. I'm pretty sure this is the black pair. And ooh, check these out, man. These things are completely murdered out. White details, mostly black. And then check out this like translucent piece of the traction plate. That's really cool. It's like a milky white, and you can see all the details on the cleat so well. But yeah, this black is super clean, dude. They're a good looking football cleat. I mean, that's my first impression so far. Good looking cleat. Also, these ones come with green laces, so if you guys want to do a little black and green action, you can. A little slime action. That's pretty sick. Now, these 2 black boxes are their limited edition colorways. These ones have a higher price tag and are super limited. I think there's only 500 of each pair, and I'm lucky enough to have both colorways here. So this is the first colorway. Holy crap, dude. Check these out, dude. It's like all silver chromed out with the pinkish details. You've got the pink aglets, the pink Battle. The inside is pink. That's so sick. Ooh, and the studs are pink. Ooh, with the chrome right here. Dude, these are sick. I know they come with a higher price tag, but like this colorway is worth it. This is actually nuts, dude. Holy crap, dude, they really killed it. Just the overall design, and then these 5 colorways we've got, nuts. And then these ones do come with the pink laces. You guys can already see the vision. These have so much of that pinkish red on them already. With the laces would be a pretty sick look. And now this is the final one we have. I'm not sure the colorway. Oh, right. Totally pinked out. So we've been talking about those laces the whole time, and these cleats are basically the color of those laces. I mean, they have the same laces, but that pinkish kind of salmon color. I don't really know my color. Ooh, look at the traction plate. I just cut myself off. This one has a full iridium traction plate. I don't think any of the others had that. You guys can go back in the video and double check, but oh my goodness. I hope the camera's picking this up. This is nuts. This colorway is crazy. Now I get why they're, you know, charging a premium for these limited edition pair. They're literally insane looking. This color is nuts. Again, just like the green, I really hope the camera's doing it justice, because in person, these things are super duper vibrant and they just look so damn good. Wow, this is sweet. Very cool. Also, these ones come with gray laces because of course they already have the pinkish ones in there. And honestly, I think the gray would be a pretty good look with like the gray Battle logo, the silver Battle logo. That's pretty clean, you can't even lie. So that's very cool. All right guys, now that we have all 5 colorways unboxed, we're gonna take a close look at this white pair right here. We're gonna go through the upper, the insole, kind of the tongue, traction plate, and just kind of give you guys my first thoughts, first impressions, based on seeing the cleat for the first time. Let's start things off with the upper. So most of the upper seems to be this material right here. It looks to be some kind of fused material. We've seen this before on other football cleats. It's kind of like a thin fused material. You've got mesh underneath and then kind of a hard overlay that gives it its structure and durability. And it is very thin, feels very lightweight, and it's also pretty malleable, which is always really nice. Sometimes companies make these fused materials just way too stiff, you get your foot in there and it just kind of crushes your foot. Your foot's not able to move around and be comfortable, and it can be kind of annoying. But this one you can kind of see as I kind of move my hand throughout the cleat, and there's still paper in here actually. Let me get that out, and then you can really kind of see how lightweight and able to move you're going to be in these cleats. They're going to move with you, hopefully. That's kind of the goal here. There is a little detail here that says dynamic fit, so not really sure what that is. Of course, we're going to do our research before we do the full review. And then there's also a speed skin detail, which I want to say is just kind of this overlay that they have on the toe box. Not only is this going to help with durability, oh, it's textured. So these black parts are raised. But like I was saying, not only is it going to increase durability, it also gives you some more structure in that toe box, which is really nice as well. You do get these extra eyelets right here. It's really popular in running shoes. There's a special way to lace them up that kind of gives you a really tight fit and kind of locks that heel in right here. So that is going to be an option with these. Of course, you have the big Battle logo on the side of the cleat, and then the Battle logo on the inside of the cleat. I did notice this overlay kind of goes over the E a little bit, which is kind of funny. Ooh, it says Turbo Mesh on the inside. So it says Turbo Mesh, Dynamic Fit, and speed skin. So there's a lot of different technologies that are just clearly labeled on the cleat. Of course, like I said, when we get into the full review, we will talk about all that stuff and I'll kind of explain to you guys what each thing is and what it does. But for now, that's a lot of different words on the cleat. Speaking of words on the cleat, it does say Astrofly here on the back. Of course, that's the name of the cleat. And then you have kind of this like 3D battle badge here on this heel loop, which is really nice. It's just a rubber material, so it's not gonna add a ton of weight. And it also moves with the strap, which is nice, or the loop rather. This cleat does have a nice little heel cup here. It's nice and stiff, so your heel's gonna slot right in there, and it's gonna keep it nice and planted, which is always nice. And then this cleat does have a front loop as well, so both a front and rear, which makes it really nice to open up this cuff and slip your foot in there. That always makes it a little bit easier. Next up, the lacing system on these is pretty standard. You have a bunch of eyelets kind of run up in that fused material, and then we already talked about these eyelets right here that give you the option to do a runner's loop if you'd like. And then next up, we got to talk about this mesh piece right here. So you have the mesh collar, and then you kind of have this mesh tongue piece that is beneath the lacing system, and it is kind of stitched into that outer layer of skin. This is a similar look to what we saw on the Vapor Untouchable Pro 3s. Let me actually grab a pair to show you guys. So kind of a similar build. You have this kind of mesh with a sock liner here, and it's stitched into this outer material. So it's a pretty similar build. You guys need something to compare it to, but that is a very good formula for a good football cleat. So you have kind of this lower sock booty that kind of hugs your foot, and then this outer shell that kind of gives you the stability and structure you need to have a comfortable, supportive football cleat. Kind of hard to see in there, but you guys can kind of see how that booty wraps around your entire foot. Gives your foot a nice little hug, nothing wrong with a little foot hug action. Let's talk about the padding on the inside of the cleat. So first things first, let's get this insole out. Let's see, it is glued in, so we're gonna rip the glue. There it goes. So this is going to be the insole. It does have a little Battle Labs detail, the future of sport performance. So this is where Battle tests their stuff to make sure it's good to go out to you guys. And this is the insole. So it's very soft, which is something I don't know if I've ever mentioned. Kind of like a velvet feel to it. I'm not sure the actual material, but it's very soft. You guys can kind of see how soft it is. And then this is the thickness, not the thickest insole I've ever seen, but certainly not the thinnest. And then underneath, there's not really anything to talk about here. You can see where the glue was before I yanked it out. But check out the shape of the insole. It's very narrow. A lot of speed cleats tend to be on the narrower side. So if you guys had wider feet, these might not be a cleat for you. Of course, we have to test it and kind of see how they fit before we deem that the case. It's certainly a very thin insole. So taking a look at the heel padding, I know it's tough to see because it's black and it's dark in there, but the padding itself is kind of thin. It's definitely very soft as well. It's not like a thick foam. It moves pretty easily, so I think your heel is just kind of gonna push that stuff back, and I'm a little bit worried about it. But the heel cup itself isn't that stiff, so I'm really curious to see kind of how well it locks it down. The whole cleat is, I mean, you can definitely move it around. It definitely bends pretty good, which can be a little bit concerning. Of course, we can't make any judgments until we test it, but it's certainly a very flexible football cleat. There's been flexible football cleats I really liked. I think the Under Armour Blur was a really good example, but these are definitely on the flexible side all the way through, and then not the most padding in the heel as well. Also, underneath that insole, there doesn't appear to be any cushioning system besides the insole, so that is pretty much all you're gonna get. Is this little foam piece, but that's pretty popular in skill football cleats. Most football cleats in general don't have any other cushioning. I know the new Nike ones have like a zoom unit in them. We'll talk about those later in the year, but no additional padding in these. The final thing we got to talk about is the traction plate. So the traction plate is always one of my favorite things to look at and learn about and check out. And this one is definitely one of the most unique ones we've seen so far. So for this part, I'm actually gonna use these because it's a little bit easier to see the details. Everything kind of gets washed away in the white, like the heel and kind of these side spikes. spikes kind of disappear. With the chrome, you can see it a little bit more clearly. So in the front, you've got these 6 triangular studs here. You've got 3 here and then 3 here. And then in the very front, you have a blade stud. It's kind of weird to see a blade stud kind of in the front like that, but we'll see how it works. And then you have 2 other blade studs kind of right here and right here, kind of towards the middle of the cleat, but on the outside part of the foot, which is always good. So when you go to cut, this stud and maybe the edge of the triangle stud are gonna hit that turf first and allow you to get in and out of breaks. And then the heel, you've got these 4 blade studs here. They are a little bit bent. Curious to see how those work. And then you do have kind of this tiny little one in the rear. So this is gonna be important for stopping, you know, kind of, oh, it's also angled. Check it out. Like you can see how the other studs are flat. This one's got an angle. Is it the same in the front? Not so much in the front. Interesting though, it's kind of neat that it's at like an angle. So if you're stopping, it's gonna dig in that corner first and kind of help slow you down. Also, a lot of these have rubber tips, so there's a tiny little bit of play, which can be really good if you don't want to get stuck in the turf. Good to have that. I do want to say I really love the overall design of the traction plate. I just think it's really cool. It has like a cool texture here and then kind of a different texture through here. You get a little battle detail in there as well. It's a little tough to see, but it's there. And just like a lot of cool details. I think this is one of the cooler looking traction plates. I feel like traction plates have kind of gotten pretty boring looking over the years, but Battle really killed it with this one. I just think it looks sick, especially this chrome one. And then of course this one is pretty nuts as well. I couldn't show you this one because it kind of, all the studs kind of disappear a little bit. But this traction plate is nuts. Yeah, overall the traction plate has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 studs. And then they have kind of these rigidity points as well. There's one here, one down the center, and one kind of on the side. So these are what give the traction plate and the cleat overall its like stable structure, so it doesn't twist like crazy bad. So that's good to have. Also, I really like how the traction plate kind of comes up to the side of the foot, so your foot kind of pushes up against it, and it allows your foot to push that side of the plate to where you're gonna go and cut and make sure this stud gets in the ground and you get in and out of breaks as quick as you can. I know it doesn't make a ton of sense, but you guys can kind of visualize what I'm saying. Kind of your foot's in there, it cuts, pushes against it, and like instead of rolling over the plate, the upper rolling over the plate, it pushes, your foot pushes into the plate. It just keeps the cleat more stable during cuts. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So I'm pretty sure that's just about everything as far as first impressions. The only thing left to do now is test these out outside, run a couple drills, and then get you guys that full review. Let's do it. Now that you guys have watched the full unboxing, it's time to get into the review. We're gonna talk about the comfort, the fit and support, the traction, the style, what position these cleats are best for, and of course, the price. We're gonna kick things off by talking about the comfort of the Battle Astroflies. These things are pretty darn comfy for the most part. It all starts with the upper material they call their speed skin. It's unique fused material that is both plenty flexible but also keeps your foot planted within the cleat. These cleats also have a booty system built from their turbo mesh material. This is the soft sock-like liner that hugs the foot and ankle. It feels super soft and cozy around your foot, and it also breathes really well, which is important. I really loved how this material felt, and you guys know I'm a huge fan of a good ankle cuff. The tongue on these, of course, is included in that booty, and it feels really nice on the top of the foot, and it helps relieve some of the pressure of the laces. For the padding on the inside, honestly, there's not that much. These have about a 1/4 inch of soft foam in the heel and around the sides that compresses rather easily. I do think that the cleat would benefit from this foam being a bit more firm or just more padding overall. The thin padding doesn't necessarily make the cleat uncomfortable, but you can feel the back of your foot pressing up against the heel cup. The insole on these, we took a look at it in the unboxing, and it's pretty bare bones. It's a thin insole and it's also very narrow, but it still does enough to absorb the impact of running, so it absolutely does its job. It's pretty popular for a raw skill cleat to have a thinner insole because it allows a more natural feel with the ground. I also really love that these cleats have both a front and rear loop, so these are super easy to slip on and take off. Overall, I love the material they used on these. The upper is plenty flexible, the booty is soft and cozy, but I do wish there was a tad more padding in the heel. The next thing we're going to talk about is the fit and support. The fit and support on these is pretty much on par with the other skill cleats on the market. As far as fit goes, these cleats do run a little bit tight, so if you guys like a tight fit, get your regular size, but if you want a little bit of room, go a half size up. It's definitely a narrow fit, but once they're on, they genuinely feel vacuum sealed to your foot. They feel like an extension of your body and move with you really well. For the upper, like I mentioned earlier, these have the speed skin material paired with their dynamic fit system. These two technologies work together to give the cleat a very secure but supportive feel. It does enough to keep your foot planted within the cleat, but allows your foot to move naturally to make any cut you need to make. The side-to-side support on these isn't bad for a low-cut, skill-based football cleat. They do have the ankle cuff booty, which offers a little bit of support, but honestly, it's just like a really lightweight spat. Overall, the fit on these is truly amazing, and the support is about what you usually get out of a low-cut skill football cleat. Next up, one of my favorite parts when reviewing cleats, we gotta weigh the cleat. The Battle Astroflies weigh in at 9.1 ounces in this size 8.5, and that makes this one of the lightest football cleats on the entire market. The fact that these cleats have so much technology and different materials and still weigh that little is insane. I'm not really sure how the folks over at Battle were able to keep the weight down on these, but they truly outdid themselves. And then I should mention that they feel even lighter than that on foot. Due to that vacuum seal fit we talked about earlier and how light these are, they truly feel like an extension of your body, like they're not even there, they just feel like they're part of you. Next up, we got to talk about the traction. This all-new traction plate from Battle is very, very impressive. These things have some serious grip. It starts up front with what appears to be a 2-piece traction plate that molds together as one. Up front, we have 9 studs, and then in the rear, there's 5 studs. 6 of those front studs are these unique arrow shape, and then there are 3 blades as well. The arrow studs do a really good job digging in to accelerate quickly, and then the blades do a nice job helping you cut quickly. The blades in the rear of the cleat also allow you to brake pretty quickly. I will say that the triangle studs did trap a lot of dirt in the back of them, so you want to make sure you get that dirt out as much as you can. The traction plate also has a spine that runs through it that gives the plate some structure. It works with your natural arch and helps you launch into that next step. Even with that spine, the traction plate and cleat overall is very flexible. Overall, this traction plate gives you really good grip when accelerating, decelerating, and cutting, and it's plenty flexible to give you a real raw feel of the turf beneath you. Next up, we got to talk about the style. I think Battle absolutely killed it with the design on these. These have such a clean silhouette, and I think they're one of the best looking cleats on the market right now. The cleat is extremely streamlined and all the details are functional, which makes it so much cooler, and they also come in a bunch of really cool colorways. These cleats come in 7 regular colorways: white, black, neon green, royal blue, red, pink, and teal. And then they also have 2 limited edition colorways limited to only 500 units. These silver ones right here, and then the reddish pinkish pair as well. These ones are absolutely insane, and you definitely want to get some before they're gone. All these colorways are very, very clean. I just love how classic and simple they are, but still super clean. And I'm sure they're planning on dropping more colorways over the next year or so. The next thing we're going to talk about is what position these cleats are best for. These are a skill football cleat through and through. They're incredibly lightweight, they're low cut and truly built for speed. The cleat is just built for the fastest guys on the field: QBs, running backs, wide receivers, and DBs. Now, of course, linebackers, tight ends, you can rock these as well, but you're not going to get a ton of support in these, so that's something to keep an eye out for. But these are definitely one of the best skill options on the market for 2025. The next thing we got to talk about is the price. The price on these is $160 in a regular colorway and then $220 for those limited edition pairs we talked about earlier. Now, $160 definitely prices these above most of the skill cleats on the market right now. I will say that the folks at Battle have spent a ton of time and effort getting these cleats just right, and I've only heard good things from the guys who have already tried them out. It's definitely tough to break into the cleat world with the Nikes and Adidas in the space, but these are absolutely right there with them in every single category. If you guys want to try something different that definitely performs very well, I say go ahead, shell out the $160 for these, or the $220 if you're balling like that, but I think for $160 they are a good football cleat. Overall, Battle cooked with these. They went out and decided to build a high quality football cleat, and they did just that. They're one of the best fitting football cleats on the market. They're pretty cozy, and this traction plate is also just one of the best on the market. They come in a bunch of amazing colorways to match your teams, and also the limited edition pairs are pretty crazy. They are an excellent skill football cleat, and I'm really pumped that I finally got my hands on these to check them out. There you guys have it. There's the full unboxing review on the Battle Astrofly Football Cleats. Let me know if you guys have tried these. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to like the video, comment what you guys want to see us do next, and make sure you guys subscribe for more videos just like this one. My name is Devin, and thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Footballrs.